Hello, my name is Jana Hocová and I work in the Central Library of Beauty in Brno, Czech Republic. My job is teaching information literacy courses, especially for PhD students, but sometimes I also hold presentations for bachelor and master students. Today I'd like to talk about a framework which divides people into 4 different categories according to how they respond to expectations. This framework can help to better understand why are some students more successful with task fulfillment than others and help to deal with that. This framework was created by an American author, Gretchen Rubin. Although no specialist in psychology, she explores human nature, happiness and habits in her books. She is not a scientist per se, but she conducts studies to support her theories. Given framework is introduced in her book The Four Tendencies, the indispensable personality profiles that reveal how to make your life better and other people's lives better too. The book contains a test to help determine your tendency, describes the tendencies and how to deal with them. The main idea is different people respond to inner and outer expectations differently. This influences how people fulfill tasks given by somebody else or even themselves. If we know our tendency, we can be more successful. Similarly, if we approach others according to their tendency. The first of the tendencies is upholder. The characteristic in one sentence, do what's right even when people call you uptight. An upholder meets both inner and outer expectations. They decide and they do it, and they respect rules. Questioner meets only his inner expectations. That's why he needs to know the reason and respect it to be willing to do what you want. His sentence, I'll comply if you convince me why. If he holds a rule for nonsensical, he won't obey it. Obliger meets only outer expectations. His sentence, if I have to, I will. If I want to, I won't. Obliger obeys rules and does what he's expected to, but he needs outer accountability. If he decides for himself to do something, he won't. He needs somebody to make him stick to it. Rebel, just as the name suggests, stands against anything. He often won't do even what he wants because somebody is telling him to, even himself. His sentence, you can't make me and neither can I. For a rebel, it can be really difficult to fulfill his goals and follow rules. If we don't communicate our expectations, rules, deadlines, assignments, conditions of compliance for the lessons, as well as the rules we try to teach them, for example citation rules, in the way to meet all those personality types, we might doom our effort to failure. The upholder is the easiest one. As long as we don't cross the line of acceptability, for example setting discriminative unjust rules, the upholder will comply. He will learn what he's supposed to and he will follow all the rules. The risk here he can take the word might as have to and overwork. We always have to explain thoroughly the reason why for the questioner and we have to be prepared he will ask. Why do I need to be consistent when citing? Why should I cite all the sources? Why is this important? Why should I do it? We have to have a really strong because for him. The obliger is very often also a pleaser. He is used to doing what is asked of him, but he might struggle, for example, with a task with longer deadlines. The deadline builds accountability for him, but when he's dependent on his own will, he will struggle. He needs to know we count on him. The rebel is special. Never tell him he has to. Even if he wanted to do it before, he's less likely now because he doesn't like to be told what to do. Rebel needs to feel he has a choice. It is good to appeal to his identity. For example, only plagiarists used other sources without citing them. If we approach the students in the right way, they will be much more likely to follow the rules in the class as well as stick to the rules we are teaching them. It is always good to take an individual approach whenever possible, but there is also a strategy for how to engage all with one approach. me explain with an example. I want the students to hand in assignments until a particular date in the semester, not at the end of the semester, and I just tell them without any explanations. Please hand in the assignment by November the 10th. Upholder is fine. For Obliger, that might work too, although he might struggle especially when the deadline lies far in the future. But Rebel doesn't really care, and I have just lost a question or two, because the end of the semester is in January, and he thinks it should suffice me to get his assignment by then. I can tell. It would be great to submit your tasks by November the 10th, because I need to schedule time for proofreading. I'm busy with other work tasks, and if you submit too late, I might not be able to make time for correction. Therefore, I cannot guarantee a correction by late submission. This creates better accountability for Obliger because he knows he might cause me struggle with late submission. I provided a good reason for questioner, and I gave the choice to the rebel. He doesn't have to submit by the deadline, but he knows the consequences. The upholder is fine, of course. It is that simple but impactful. I hope this sparked interest in you and you will consider reading Gretchen Rubin's book to find out more about the tendencies, and maybe you will try to implement this in your lessons. Thank you very much for your attention.